quick habit. I've lived in my own apartment for almost 4 years now by myself. I work at the red staff at Imperial, and I work at the ad sheet on campus. I passed the ad sheet to college students in cold weather, warm weather. I had a good smile and have fun. Last year, I had 3 jobs at one time. I used to work at State Farm of the summer doing index and skating. I asked them I can do something else. I can book them. They let me do it. That did me skating factors. I keep knowing people at State Farm say take 1 year to all over stuff. I keep everything, know everything in 2 weeks. I can do the job. I am a client of Boone County Insurance. I had to prove myself I can live by myself. Had to pay my bills on time. Had to cook. Had to clean my apartment. My goal is to get off all government service because I want to do everything by myself. I want to buy my own house and to pay all the bills, that fun stuff. All the people I live on my own. You do what? You can drive. You have to drive. I tell people how to do drive. People say, how to do what? I like to people say, you can't do something. I like to prove people wrong all the time.
Take it all the way home, Greg.
I play power soccer with my power wheelchair. Power soccer is a sport where power trade with 8 people on the court. It's fun and kind of dangerous too. I get kicked out one game because the wheelchair go too fast. I hot, I angry, I get yellow card at the soccer game. Okay.
Hi, my name is Gabriella, and I am a junior at Mizzou, and I'm a film studies major. College has been a really, really enlightening and good experience for me. It's made me realize all the things I can do. It's helped me to be more independent. It's helped me to meet a lot of people. It's given me more of a purpose than I had, I think, when I was at home, where I was scared to do a lot. It's just been a good experience. You know, college is not the way you think it is before you get here, but then it's still okay, even if it's not exactly how you wanted it to be when you left home. The disability office at Mizzou is super great. When I first visited Mizzou, it was between my sophomore and junior year of high school, and that was way early. When I first talked to them, they gave me information on finding people to help me, finding a place to live. They do a really good job of helping with transition, helping with teachers, dealing with homework, dealing with everything. They have a zillion resources. I have nothing bad to say about the disability office. They're awesome. Well, obviously, I really want to be independent for the rest of my life. As for my career and like my personal goals, I kind of like want it all. Like, I know everybody does, but I really want to have a good career and be able to support myself financially, and I want to get married and have kids. I want to live a life that I think people take for granted when it's really easy. But I think the fact that I might have to work for it a little bit more, especially career-wise, I think that's fine. You know, that's what life is kind of about. I just look forward to being in a good place in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, however long. I'm just looking forward to things to come.
My name's Keith Novak. I'm I work at Lenore Woods. It's a Lutheran senior assisted living home. I love my job. It's the one job that I happen to enjoy, getting up in the morning and saying, I cannot wait to go to work. And everyone there is so compassionate, and everyone says that they love their job. Lenore Woods, it's different than most senior living homes where they just like push you along. They actually care about their jobs and how they're treating the residents. I have Asperger's syndrome, which is a neurological dysfunction which kind of takes me longer, and then ADD, which kind of gets me bouncing off the walls a lot of times. It kind of keeps me like supercharged, so like if it's a slow day I can keep moving, and the Asperger's kind of helps me think, well, how can I do this better, or is there some other way that I can be doing this differently? My disability has made me into a wonderful person for that, and I really would not change it at all. I wouldn't. I would definitely say it's due to my parents and Bridgette Imperial and Mark Ohrenberg from Services for Independent Living. They've definitely been there for me to help me and guide me into the right direction. We have a small club called We Accelerate, which Mark Ohrenberg and I came up with a way for kids with and without disabilities to kind of interact with one another, whether they go to the same high school or they're going to be going to the same high school. It kind of gives them a jump ahead to kind of like say, okay, these are nice people. It shows people that we can have people with disabilities interact with people without disabilities, and show that they can all be compassionate, loving people. A future goal of mine, I've always wanted to be a firefighter, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. But with my disability, not a lot of people have an understanding of what it is and think, oh, because they're handicapped, they can't do it. But I worked at a firehouse for 3 years, and everyone just said, that guy can do it. I worked at a fire station called Cheesequick Volunteer Fire Company, and what I did there was I taught fire safety to like younger kids that were like between the ages of 5 to 10 who really didn't know anything about it. They kind of, saw what we looked like without our gear on, then we saw what we looked like with it on, so it wasn't so frightening to them. And that was, getting my foot in the door, was volunteering and just helping out and, doing whatever they asked. So that was like a big accomplishment, was hearing everyone say, he's gonna do it. I'm very convinced. Right now, I'm waiting to hear from the CERT program, which kind of helps with disasters like up in Joplin. I think if I got into that program, that'd be a second foot in the door. So it would be halfway there from where I was in the beginning.
My name is Skylar Davis-Saman. I'm going to school full-time. I go to Columbia College. I'm going to go to transfer to MU in about 2 years to go to med school. Well, I wanted to become a general practitioner and go to like a smaller town. Well, before I wanted to be like a psychologist because my grandfather is a psychologist. But then I was diagnosed with cancer, and I actually noticed like the certain amount of care that oncologists give to you, and they're really dedicated. At first I thought I was going to be like an oncologist, but then I thought, well, I don't want to, because you have to deal with, all you deal with pretty much is with cancer, because it's what oncology deals with cancer. And I thought, well, if I do general practitioner, I can get close to the patients, talk to them on a one-on-one basis, but I don't have to deal with like death and life-threatening illnesses on a day-to-day basis. But I'm still kind of grappling on that, because yeah, I have the experience. I know almost exactly what they're going through. Actually, I just had a bone marrow transplant. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, I had an 80% chance of survival. If the bone marrow transplant didn't work, it was either going to work or it wasn't going to work. And my brother actually had to donate his bone marrow, which was actually pretty cool, because it turned out it was a 100% match with my bone marrow, which apparently is very rare. Siblings have the highest rate, and they're usually about 80% match. And then you can go like direct family, like mom or dad. And then they usually have a lot lower, like 50, 40%. Very rare for 100% match, which also could be why I'm surviving. Almost no complications. My oncologists were like, wow, this is really cool. This is easy. I was overdiagnosed with certain kind of disabilities. I had been diagnosed by ADHD, ADD, bipolar schizophrenia, which is a crap load of diagnosis. And I was medicated on all these like antidepressants and tranquilizers, and that was actually I wasn't ever functioning 100%. I'm still not. I don't think am. I shake a lot involuntarily. My tongue doesn't always work the best way because it's how I speak, and that's actually still a struggle because I'm still trying to speak right, but and I speed up my words, and it's a struggle, but I'm getting better as it goes on. I just want to get close to my family because when I was in a group home, I could never get contact with this side of my family. And I mean, when they last saw me, I was about 4 years old, and the next found me, I was sick, almost dead because of the chemotherapy, and I was 16, 17. So a lot of the experiences like normal families have, I never had. Bradley, when you whisk, go like here, let me show you real quick. Go like this when you whisk. It's best to go like this. I volunteer at Citizens for Independent Living. I actually started it because 2 of my cousins are disabled, and they needed help there at one time, and I just said, sure, I'll help out. I loved it. I had a lot of good experiences, a lot of good volunteers there, and the kids that go there are very fun. I actually met a couple of my friends because before I never really had friends here because I was so sick. I met 2 good friends. They're Keith Novak and Vince Piscalia. It's a good experience because it's helping me develop social skills too.
I sound even more like a chipmunk when my voice is recorded. I'm Gina Jalon, and I'm a graduate student at the University of Missouri, working on a PhD in science education.
No, don't say it out loud.
What the
That made my day.
That's awesome. What did you say? I spent a lot of time sailing and on research boats and diving in little submarines to the bottom of the ocean. I was studying what we call mid-ocean ridges, where 2 plates are moving apart. You get these basically underwater volcanic mountain ranges. There's this little submersible called the Alvin, and it holds 3 people. It's kind of a sphere of titanium and has little robotic arms, and you can control everything from computers on the inside. So I would go down and collect rocks with 2 other people, and also take measurements of all kinds, just using the computer inside this little. You'd be down there all day. A lot of people think that science is kind of dry and boring, and you have to fit it in with this rigid step-by-step method, and it's not like that at all. It's very creative and exciting. People like fiction and fantasy, but there's real things that are that crazy and even more interesting because they're real. Well, I lost my vision kind of slowly. It's a degenerative retinal thing. Hold it like this in front of you. So it was a pretty gradual process for a while. I used a lot of zooming and magnification. There you go. You got it. A few years ago, I had a really sudden loss of vision, so I switched from doing, really straining to use visual stuff to doing things totally non-visually. Text-to-speech programs, Braille, audio recording, tactile graphics, all sorts of new things that I had never tried before. I kind of changed my life a little bit. As soon as I started to get used to it, it actually became really exciting and interesting. I started college kind of early. I was only 16, and my vision was a lot better at the time, so I tried to, pretend that I was normal, and didn't go very well. As soon as I started working with people, making those accommodations and actually doing things and living my life a little bit differently, it was really great. I completely changed my set of friends. From people who were, just having a good time all the time to people who were doing things that I really appreciated and wanted to contribute to. I really felt the need to have some kind of community of other people with disabilities, just other people who are diverse and trying to do something with their lives. I really, really want to be a professor. at a university somewhere, teaching earth and space science and hopefully doing some kind of research. My plan is finish the PhD, maybe go do a postdoc somewhere, stay in school forever, and then hopefully, get a position somewhere. I think I can do it. I mean, I'm very stubborn. I don't give up easily. I'll get there eventually.
I would definitely have to say for everybody, whether it be they're starting high school or going to college or they're having a job or all three, I would have to say don't ever let anybody tell you no. Tell them yes, no matter if they're right or not, if they're wrong. Just keep on moving. Don't let anybody tell you differently.
Be relentless. Don't give up. Don't give in to your disability. Don't give in to what society says your disability should be. Just do what you want to do. See yourself as able-bodied, if that helps. See yourself as the best version of yourself. I think it's really important to stay focused, and even if you don't know what you want to do when you get older, that's fine. Nobody really does. You're in a good place if you're choosing to go to school or go to tech school or get a job or do something, just because I think that's what life is about. You can't let your disability or let whatever issues you're going through define your whole life, because then it wins and it wouldn't be worth it.
Don't worry about being cool. Be yourself. It might sound cheesy, but it's so true. You could try to be other things, and you will change over time. I have a tattoo to explain this. So this is a chambered nautilus. It's a creature that's been around for millions of years. They live in the ocean. So when they're small, they just have one little kind of chamber on their shell. They take in minerals from the seawater and they process that, and they build a new shell that's larger, a new chamber, and they move into it. And then they grow a little bit more and they build another chamber, and they just keep adding chambers in the spiral pattern until they're adults. In geology, they're beautiful and useful fossils, and I learned about kind of how they grow and live, and to me I thought this is a perfect symbol for the development of the self, because we take in our environment, we process it, we build these sort of external shells of who we are. And we live like that for a while, and then we move on and we grow and we do something a little bit different. I'm not, exactly the girl I was all those years before doing all those things. It's still the same creature. Does that make sense?